Yo, 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 what's good, everybody? It is fight week. UFC 293 pops off this Saturday night. Let's break this shit down. We're going to start with Jack Jenkins versus Jose Mariscal at featherweight. Man, Jenkins, what a fucking beast. Dude is fighting out of Australia. He is 30 years old, 12 and 2, five knockouts, three submissions. He's been submitted twice. He's a contender series guy from 2022. He got a knockout in round 3 on the contender series. Then since then he's got two fights, both decisions. Last one was June of this year. So he's got coming off a pretty quick turnaround, but oh man, I'm really excited to see him work. He is fighting Jose Mariscal, 30 years old. Jose's 14 and 6. Dude's legit. He's been around the block. He has fought a lot of guys who are currently in the UFC, but in other organizations. He got knocked out by Gregor Gillespie in the first round in Ring of Combat back in 2016. He lost a decision to Bryce Mitchell in V3 fights in 2017. He got knocked out in round 1 by Joe Anderson Brito, LFA. Um, that was in 2019. Then 2020 gets knocked out by Steve Garcia, and then loses a decision to Sean Soriano. Now all those guys are in the UFC. Now this dude is on a 4-win streak. 3 of those wins are knockouts, so he's not to be trifled with. He's legit. But I definitely got Jack Jenkins in this fight. I mean, the fact that Jose has been knocked out 3 times, I mean, to me that's a warning sign. Jack Jenkins has never been knocked out. He's been submitted twice, but I don't know. Dude's a beast. So fight. My first fight of the night, I got Jose Mariscal. I got Jack Jenkins beating Jose Mariscal. I'm gonna pick that by finish too. All right, next up we got Carlos Ulberg versus Da Woon Jung. Now this fight is at light heavyweight. Carlos Ulberg is 32 years old, fighting out in New Zealand. He's 8 and 1. That one loss is a knockout to Kennedy Njoku in round 2 back on UFC 259 in 2021. Since that fight, dude's on a 4-win streak. 3 of them, the last 3, were all first round knockouts. So fucking Carlos Ulberg is not to be trifled with. And those last 3 were Tefon Nchukwi, Nicholas Negoromorun, and Ihor Potieria. Man, I'm terrible at last names. So, man, I like Carlos a lot in this fight. He's fighting Da Woon Jung. Da Woon Jung is 29 years old. He's 15 and 4, 11 knockouts. 11 knockouts. Dude's a monster. 2 submissions. He has been knocked out 1 time. He's been subbed once. He's lost his last 2 in a row. Last time out there was in February. He lost a decision to Devin Clark. And then his fight before that, he got knocked out first round by Dustin Jacoby. But before that, dude was looking pretty good in the UFC. I think 5 fights, 1 draw with Sam Alvey, but the rest were all wins. Da Woon Jung is good, man, but I like Carlos Ulberg fighting in front of a home crowd in this one. All right, let's move on to our next one, which is Tyson Pedro Anton Turkalj at light heavyweight. Tyson Pedro is 31 years old, out of Australia. He's 9 and 4, 4 knockouts, 5 submissions. He has been knocked out and subbed once each. He's coming off a decision loss to Modestas Bukauskas. Before that, he was on a 2-win streak, and both were KOs in the first round. Tyson Pedro is really good. There's not a whole lot else to say about him. He's been around for a long time in the UFC. Lost some, won some, but I like what I've seen from him. He's been around since, 2016. Dude's got some big wins. He beat Paul Craig way back then, knocked him out. He's pretty fucking awesome. All right. He's fighting Anton Turkalj. He's a Contender Series guy. Got a unanimous decision back in 2022. Since then, he has 2 fights in the UFC, and he's lost both of them. First one, he got choked out in the first round by Jailton Almeida. And the last time out there, which was March of this year, he lost a decision to Victor Petrino. So, I got Tyson Pedro in this one. Dude's been around the block, fought great people. Lost some, won some, but I like what I've seen from him. I think he gets a finish in front of the home crowd. Moving on. Next up is Justin Tafa versus Austin Lane. This is at heavyweight. Man, Justin Tafa, the bad man. 6-3, all 6 wins by knockout. He has been knocked out 1 time. That was by Yorgan De Castro. Round 1 knockout back in 2019. He lost 2 in 2021, 2 decisions, 1 to Carlos Felipe, 1 to Jared Vanderaa. He's on a 2-win streak, 2 knockouts. Harry Hunsucker in the first round and Parker Porter in the first round of this year, February. He and Austin Lane both were going to fight each other on UFC ABC 5. But there was an accidental eye poke in round 1. So we're rolling it back. Man, I like Tafa a lot. Tafa gets knockouts. Austin Lane has been knocked out. So Tafa's been knocked out once. Austin Lane's been knocked out 3 times. Austin Lane has 11 knockouts. 1 submission, but like I said, been knocked out 3 times. He's never won by a decision. Neither of these guys have ever won by decision. It's all knockouts. So expect a knockout in this one. I hope. All right, so his last fight, Austin Lane, was a Contender Series knockout in 2022 of the first round. And since before that, he's been on a 3-fight KO streak. Man, 5-fight finish streak. So, but none of those fights were in the UFC. They're all in Fury FC, Combat Night, just, all these small places. He did get knocked out in LFA in 2021. So, I'm sorry, in 2020 in the first round. Got knocked out by Greg Hardy on the Contender Series back in 2018. Dude's been knocked out 3 times. He's been on a roll lately, but fighting a UFC guy is totally different than fighting guys in these smaller local promotions. So I got Justin Tafa in this one. Let us move on. And I got Justin Tafa by knockout. All right. Next up at flyweight, we got Manel Kape, Felipe Dos Santos. Man, this one looks fun. I am excited about this fight. This is one of my favorites of the night. Kape has 11 knockouts. He's 18-6, by the way. Just led with that. He's got 5 submissions. He's been submitted twice. Dude's pretty special. He's on a 3-win streak. 2 of them were finishes against Ode Osborne. He had a flying knee against him. And Zalga Sumagulov knocked him out in round 1 as well. Last fight was a decision win over David Dvorak. He has lost 2 decisions in the UFC. One to Alexander Pantoja, who is your current champion at flyweight, and the other one to Matheus Nicolai, which was a split decision. Both of those were in 2021. But since then, dude's been on a 3-win streak. Man, he's exciting. I'm worried about him because he's been submitted twice, and the guy he's fighting, Felipe Dos Santos, he don't play. He's got 2 knockouts, 3 submissions. He's never been finished. All of his fights have been, except for his last 2, all of his fights have been knockouts or submissions. His last 2 have been decisions. He is 7-0, undefeated, never lost, not even a round. And man, everything about this guy I like. His last fight was in the LFA, and it was a win for a belt. So to me, man, dude's legit. This was a tough one. This is his first fight in the UFC, and it's a pay-per-view fight, and it's a pretty big. I mean, he might be. I'm not sure. Yeah, he's on the main card. I mean, this is a pretty big fight for your first fight ever in the UFC. So, man, there's a lot of spotlight on him. We're going to see if he's ready for that test or not. I like Cop in this fight, but my brain tells me Cop, but my gut tells me Santos. So we're going Santos in this one. Who the fuck knows? It's a good one. This is going to be a really good fight. Mark this one down. Make sure you're watching for this one. All right. Next up, we got our co-main event. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty, baby. Tai Tuivasa, Bam Bam, fighting out of Sydney, Australia. Fuck. He's 14-5, 13 knockouts. Been knocked out 3 times, been submitted once. Coming off 2 knockout losses in a row. Last one was in December of last year to Sergey Pavlovich. Before that, got knocked out a couple months before that in September of that year to Cyril Gane. So, he's taking some time off, but dude's awesome. Love Tai Tuivasa. He's got a lot of good knockouts. Knocked out Derek Lewis, Greg Hardy, Augusto Sakai, Harry Hunsucker, Stefan Struve. Now, he gets a tough one, though. Alexander Volkov. Let's break him down. Dude is 34 years old, 36-10. Oh, shit. He's a legend. 24 knockouts. He's been knocked out twice. He's got 3 submissions, and he's been submitted 3 times. He's won 9 decisions. Lost 5. He's on a 2-fight knockout streak. Alexander Romanov, Jairzinho Rosenstrike. Before that, he got submitted first round by Aspinall. But man, I really like the streak he's on. The Alexander Romanov fight was in March of this year. Fuck, I really like those 2 wins. I think he's legit. I think this is a tougher fight than those other 2 guys, than Rosenstrike and Romanov. But I like you're only as good as your last fight. He's got 2 first-round knockouts in a row, and Tai Tuivasa's coming off 2 knockouts in a row. So, man, I got to go Volkov in this one. I love Tai Tuivasa. I love that he's fighting in front of a home crowd. It could happen, but, man, just on paper, Volkov looks a lot better to me. But, man, if Bam Bam wins, it will be a highlight reel all over ESPN. And we're down to our main event, ladies and gentlemen. This is it. This is it. This is it. Now everybody knows the title holder. So let's start with our challenger. We're starting with Sean Strickland, Tarzan, 32 years old, out of Anaheim, California, 27-5. Everybody hates this guy. Everyone wants to see this guy knocked out. Let's look at the numbers. He's got 11 knockouts. He's been knocked out twice. 4 submissions. He has won 12 decisions. If Sean Strickland wins this fight, I think that's where we're going to see it. There's no way he outstrikes Adesanya. He might wrestle him. That's the only thing I could see happening. However, I just don't see him having as good wrestling as Vettori. Vettori is the best guy we've seen wrestling-wise up against Adesanya. I mean, you could maybe say Jan Blachowicz, but to me he was more just clinching. He was just way stronger than Adesanya, and the size difference in that fight as well. But Strickland, I just don't see the wrestling from him being good enough to get Izzy down. And I know Izzy's striking is miles ahead of Strickland's. So let's look at this. Strickland's got 2 wins in a row. Last one was a knockout. He's been in the UFC a long time. Win some, lose some, but he's had a lot of nice streaks. Lost to Jared Cannonier, split decision, December 2022, after getting knocked the fuck out by Alex Pereira in round 1 of that year. And man, I like Strickland's a dog. Everyone hates him, no one likes him, but he's a good fighter. He's all around pretty damn solid. He's not great anywhere. He's not a specialist. He's just well-rounded, good at a lot of different things. But he's beaten a lot of guys that I think are pretty good. He knocked out Brendan Allen, split decision with Jack Hermanson. There's a lot of names on this list. I mean, the dude's been in the UFC since, 2014 was his first fight against Bubba McDaniel, and he submitted him in round 1. That was on a Hendricks Lawler card. That is insane. UFC 171. I mean, dude's been around the block. I'm excited. I'm happy that he's getting a title shot. Dude deserves it. Most guys that are in the UFC that long, or I'm sorry, a lot of guys that are in the UFC that long never even get a title shot. Never get to that place. And I think he's ranked number 7 right now, and you don't see a ranked number 7 fighting a champion too often. But I mean, I'm not complaining about it. I think this is going to be a better fight than most people think. Like I said, I'm not expecting Strickland to win in the striking, winning on the feet. He might land some good jabs, but fucking Izzy is one of the greatest strikers we've ever seen in the cage. So good. Izzy has only been knocked out one time. And obviously that one was to Alex Bahia, who Strickland has also been knocked out by. But man, other than that, it's almost tough to look at Izzy's record and really break him down because there's just so much good on here and not that much bad. It's tough to even say anything about it. 16 knockouts. Man, this is a better fight than most people are saying on paper. I do like this fight. I would have liked to see Dricus du Plessis much more. It's a shame that he wasn't ready to go. I hope he doesn't get passed by because of that. I hope he still gets that fight after this one. Strickland could get it done. It's possible. It's not out of the realm of possibility. I don't see it, but man, he could get Izzy down, wrestle him. I don't see him getting a submission, but I could see possibly just him winning rounds from wrestling. And he does have 4 submissions, but he doesn't have very many in the UFC. Might not have any. His first fight in the UFC is his only submission. In the UFC. It's a hard fight to talk about just because I do think there's a big gap. I do think Izzy is a lot better than Strickland, but like I said, Strickland is all around really good where Izzy has holes in his game. Izzy is not a wrestler. Izzy is not a submission artist. Izzy says he knows what he's doing on the ground, pretends like knows what he's doing on the ground, but he's just not. He's not like that. He's extremely skilled on the feet. He's one of the greatest kickboxers we have ever seen in the UFC, in MMA. Strickland is going to have a very hard time on the feet. I got to think part of his game plan is going to be getting Izzy down. And aside from Vettori, no one's really done it. And Vettori did it, but he didn't win the fight. So he didn't have like massive success with it. So it's an interesting one to break down. No one's given Strickland a chance. I think he has a chance. He definitely has a chance. He's a dog. He's never been in a title fight before. He comes to bang. He's won 5-rounders. I mean, there's a lot to like about him. There's a lot to like about him. These are the kind of people that win. The people that you think have zero chance. And I don't think he has zero chance, but a lot of other people definitely do. For sure. A lot of what I've been reading is very like, why the fuck is this the fight? But we'll see. Man, thank you guys for listening to this whole thing. Sorry I fucking rambled a little bit there. Make sure to check out my live stream. I will be doing a watch along for the entire card starting Saturday night. I believe our prelims start at 6:30. I'll be going from 6:30 until the whole card's over, and then I'll be breaking it down afterwards. I'll be streaming on Twitch, twitch.tv/DeathSlayer1964. Check that shit out, baby. Deuces. See you guys on Saturday, baby. Peace out.